Thank you. Now, Bill Stallworth, I know, can improvise and get ready to talk, because I'm introducing you next. We're just shifting the program a little bit. Recently, CHPC sponsored a study visit to New Orleans, and thanks to a former CHPC staff member, Kimberly Miller, now working for Oxfam in America, we spent a day on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and it was a trip that was really unforgettable for all of us. Hurricane Katrina was a massive natural disaster, but what's happening there now is a housing and community development catastrophe. And since this room is filled with the most creative and successful leaders in housing and community development, we thought you would want to know something about the plight of our colleagues in the Gulf region. They're not arguing over basis points or how to add more floors to a high-rise building, what kind of shop should go on the ground floor, or what the cornices look like. They're literally fighting for the survival of their communities and their people. And one of the leaders in that fight is Bill Stallworth, who's here with us today, a city councilman from East Biloxi, Mississippi, and the executive director of the East Biloxi Coordination Center. He's here representing STEPS, a Gulf Coast Recovery Coalition, and I hope you'll think of ways to help. You can go on our website, chpcny.org, and you can link to STEPS from there. Please welcome Councilman Bill Stallworth.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I do appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you and to talk about what's happening on the Gulf Coast. Just about very quickly, how many people have been down to the Gulf Coast? Can I see just to raise a hand? How many have been down since the hurricane? Keep your hands up. All right, so the bulk of you haven't. But let me tell you a little bit about what's going on there. And I know I have a very short period of time, and I tried to think of how I could do this. And Kimberly, bless her heart, gave me several talking points that I find very difficult to follow sometimes, so please bear with me. Along the Gulf Coast, there were close to 735,000 housing units that were damaged or destroyed. Now, for those folks in New York, I was just talking to Michael, and he was telling me about the time that you lost about 245,000. Well, we lost everything. I want you to just for a minute, please, just bear with me for just a minute. If you would just close your eyes for just a second, I want you to imagine your life. I want you to imagine your house, your family. Come on, please with me. Just imagine, just for a minute, that you are at home with your family and your friends, and everything is right with the world. You go to bed that night, you kiss your children, you just love everybody, and the very next morning, before daybreak, you are scrambling for your life. You are trying not to drown. And when the sun comes up, every single thing you own has been taken away from you. Your house, your clothes, everything. Now imagine that happened to you, how it would make you feel. But we represent, the coalition and I, people who cannot recover. Because see, we're talking about people, 40% of which make under $16,000 a year. 70% of the people make under $35,000. By New York standards, you understand how bad that is. Mississippi is the poorest state in the nation, and we represent some of the poorest people there. I tried to come up with ways to try and get you to understand how desperate this situation is. I mean, we aren't talking about the cornices, that's correct. But we are talking about people's lives. And people, let me tell you something. I have buried all the people that I cared to bury. There was a storm, and we lost a couple hundred people along the coast. About 400 or 500 are missing. But that's nothing compared to the people that we've lost since the storm. Because of bureaucracy, because of red tape, because of all of these issues, People are giving up. To make matters worse, the press stops talking about us. The federal government says that they gave money. Of the money that they gave, less than 15% has made it to the people who need to have the help. What they gave was nowhere near enough. We have been able to rebuild only because of the help of good people like you who come down, who volunteer. Now, if you haven't been down, you need to come and look, because the paper, the television cannot give you the realities of what's going on. I'm just a lowly city councilman there. And I have come to understand the power of God. And I don't know where you are on this, but I understand. Because see, when everything is taken away from you and you have nothing else, and all you can do is look up and say, please, please, I need to have some help. And people are looking to you for answers that you don't have. Then you understand that there may be something out there that can help you. One of the things I tell people all the time, Katrina was the worst natural disaster in America's history. But by far, from our standpoint, it is by far one of the best things that happened, only because it showed that people cared enough. The pictures and images that you see before you, these are not third world country issues. These are not from those. Those are people actually living there. We got people, over 25,000, still in FEMA trailers that are no bigger than half of this diocese and no deeper than this stage. Abuse is up. Children getting beaten, people are getting hurt. Not because families don't care, but because they are under pressure. I came here, and I thank God for the opportunity to come before you. But I came here because I needed your help. We need your help. We need you to do something for us. We're trying as hard as we can to put lives back together. We're trying as hard as we can to make this recovery work. And right now it is absolutely broken. The state, the federal government, the agencies who are supposed to be in charge of this simply hadn't done their job. We have to rely on people like you to help us. Now, I came with a whole lot of paper and a whole lot of stats, but it doesn't matter. What I need, what I really need, is each one of you to help. Now, you may ask me, what can we do? We don't have a whole lot of money to send. We don't have all this other stuff. I'm not asking you. And don't get me wrong, we need the money. I don't want you to be deceived. We could use the money. But what I need from you are other things. I need you to talk to your state representatives and your congressional representatives so they don't forget. This country has a major hemorrhage going on. It's on the Gulf Coast. That hemorrhage is because people are out of their homes. That hemorrhage is happening because people cannot make it back without them. I need you to be a committee of one. Get involved, do something. I need you to look at me for just a minute, please. I spend the bulk of my day in jeans, overalls, going into houses where people are just simply trying to make it. And I swore to God that I wouldn't come here and get really emotional about this. But God understands that I have to. I need you to understand. This is real. The people we're talking about are real. There are faces. There are lives. There, Miss Jones, an elderly lady who recently died because she just gave up she saw no way to get everything back. There was a wonderful woman who we repaired a house for, who later just found out she had cancer. The high point of her whole, she called me. She said, I just need to talk to you because you helped me get my house back together. And all I want to do is go home and be in that house. She came home, she spent 2 days with her family, and she died. I'm talking about real life, people. I'm talking about real life. I need you to help. When I say be a committee of one, I don't hide behind the excuse there's nothing that you can do. There is something. If you make one phone call, it helps. If you write one letter, we are sorely in need of technical expertise that we don't have in the area. You're the brightest minds in housing. Take a little time and come down and help us, please. Now, I know my time is about up, and I do appreciate you being so patient with me. But I must impress upon you the need. My earnest desire is for you to come to the coast and see what's really happening. Because despite what you're hearing in the papers, all is not well on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. All is not well. You got a lot of people trying as hard as they possibly can. Mercy Housing, the Biloxi Housing Authority, we formed a coalition to try and make affordable housing work in an area that nobody really cares about. We're surrounded by casinos and they're squeezing the life out of us. Condo developments that are licking their chops just trying to get to the land that these people have worked all their lives to hold on to. And I need you. I need you to help me, please. Whatever you can do, no matter what, I need you, please. I don't. I have been at this since the storm. Every day, all day. And I am just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of the stupidity. I'm tired of the ignorance. I'm tired of just burying the people that I love because of that. So please forgive me if I seem too emotional. But I just don't know any other way to be right now. I can't do this alone. The people who I'm working with can't do this by ourselves. We need you. I thank you for your time and your attention. I thank you for whatever you can possibly do. But if you would, tonight, go home, think about it, pray about it. Do something, please. Thank you.
I hope you can think about this after you leave this luncheon today, because as Bill said, you know, you weren't looking at a third world country. And I think for us, from our little trip, the people who went to Mississippi, we were really shocked, frankly, at what was going on. And you know, people here will understand what it is. One of the first things the state of Mississippi did when they received an emergency grant, a CDBG grant, was to go to Washington and get the 80% of median cap raised so that they could go up to 120% of median, as if it would be hard to find people in Mississippi who needed assistance at below 80% of median. And who became the biggest priority for that CDBG grant? The people in the floodplain who got wiped out and lost everything, the people beyond the floodplain who lost everything and were poor or elderly. No, the number one priority became the people who lived outside the floodplain, who had house insurance but didn't have flood insurance. So essentially, the most resourced and capitalized group is who got first call on that CDBG money. So you know, you're an audience that understands what that means and what the implications of that is. So something's happening in Mississippi that I think we all need to pay a little bit of attention to, and I really do appreciate that you got a little time to do that, and I hope you'll get a chance to talk to Bill and his other colleagues who are here. I'd like to really thank LISC, particularly Denise Scott, and Mike Rubinger, who made it possible for us to fly our colleagues up here and come to our luncheon, and that was great.